welcome to The Bad Art Show with me, Jenna Sparrow. And my guest today, it's funny because we did Kurt's podcast, so I feel like this is like we've done this
already
round
ruined
two.
my podcast. Might as well try fuck yours up. One of the worst things we've ever done.
Branche. I like saying your name like that. And Kurt Metzger are here with us today.
Bonjour.
And we are doing a topic that Kurt brought to my attention. So
yeah,
we'll give you credit for this one.
I said, Jenna, I need your attention for a minute. I have to bring you something.
It's very important.
Yeah.
So today's topic is JJ Brine and Vector Gallery.
I just happened to see some, what's her head's name? Rotting Jewels is the channel. And we had a whole thing about the process. I don't really know about the Process Church too much, but I know they have like an interesting Swazi as their.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
And,
You abbreviate swastika?
You got to.
well, like an old
Swazi?
Hey, we're on YouTube. You got to.
I studied in India for a while. So that's how they say. It's not called that in German. It's called the Swazi in India.
So we're going to get into that.
Swazi?
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into it.
Anyway, I happen to notice that it was Art Basel, that thing she's always talking about, going on about. And,
Swazi. Oi,
yeah.
oi, oi.
And they had an exhibit of some blonde chick you charge your phone with a pussy.
Yeah.
I think she just put a battery pack up her vagina. Is it like the one I have from the airport? Like that big?
Anyway.
An usher paid her $20 or something?
Yeah.
Do you know that if a woman ODs on drugs and then you blow crack in her vagina, she'll wake up?
That's
Wait,
pseudoscience.
hold on. No. Don't be all smug. Hold on.
I learned that in rehab.
Yo, do you know
It's like blowing smoke up your ass, but it's
Yeah, your front ass.
Yeah.
But you blow crack in the butt, in the vagina, and they
Well,
wake
it's
right up.
maximum absorption. Yeah, and also if you're pregnant, you do a lot of Adderall, you could like finish the baby faster.
Finish the baby faster.
You gotta concentrate.
You cook it
It
faster.
just helps you focus.
I feel like we should have a warning before this that please do not take medical advice from us.
That sounds like a real thing, the crack thing.
Yeah, that's what I heard about it.
Oh.
It can't be a real thing. The colon version of it.
Someone
would be a
saved
real
my
thing.
life with it.
Speaking from
It was
experience.
before Narcan was around.
What do you think? They had Narcan the whole time? They didn't.
No, they just had blowing crack smoke in the vagina and wake up.
It's a jolt. So JJ Brine and Vector Gallery. So his actual name is Jonathan Friel. Am I saying that right? Friel?
Friel? Who gives a shit?
So
He's adopted.
He's
He was
dead.
adopted.
Yeah.
He is from Gainesville, Florida, or he was raised in Gainesville, Florida.
Ew.
His father is a professor emeritus at UF. So
What? Of Federal Income Tax Estates and Trust at University of Florida? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, his mother was an art lover and a docent at the Harn Museum for over a decade.
Wait,
so
what is a docent?
a docent that's actually the category of this podcast because we have different tiers that these people are watching. A docent is a volunteer at an art museum who learns about the collection and is able to give tours and things like that. So it's an unpaid position at a museum.
Like a volunteer fireman?
Usually unpaid. And they work with the curators. They gather information and they deal with the
I
public.
cannot wait to use that word as a weapon against someone.
Yeah.
You fucking docent. Listen,
It's
now
a good
the
role.
docents,
It's a
I
good
get
role.
paid.
It's a good role. Some of them
You
are
should call
paid.
people who are bad at stand-up docents.
Yeah,
That's actually
that's what they are. A stinking. Anyway, so he got molested already. Number one.
I
Now,
don't.
see that hair color? The international symbol of I got brutally molested by my father.
You're
professor.
jumping quite a bit ahead, but
Well,
I think
you don't gotta be a psychic. You don't gotta be psychic.
yeah. So
Wait, is that him?
it's him in the middle on the one side, and in the main picture on there on the left. Anyways, his parents are both very academic and very loving. He had the full support of his parents. So just
Even shower together.
I don't think it's a situation like that at all. I think his
You don't
parents.
think that's
No,
that's why
I think
Hunter
his
Biden went
parents
off
are
the
very
rails. His
nice
dad didn't make
people.
time. His dad went to run for president again and stopped showering with him. He
But
didn't have time.
his dad,
He misses it. He's a goofball.
his dad, some people would argue, is evil. I don't think either of
Why do you say?
Jonathan's
No,
parents
his
are
dad
evil.
had
I
to
think that his
shower.
dad is evil just based on his titles. I think his mother's a witch based on her titles.
Well,
Like a creepy castle who's that lady again? Or Marina Bab, who made a fucking
That's what we
Michelle,
should
a
call
wailing
her.
wall with dildos coming out of
Yeah.
it.
She's not a docent. She's an artist.
Yeah,
But-
there's all these people. She's an art lover.
I feel like all these people on 7th Street are then technically artists.
well, no,
Diaper
she-
Girl
the
is an
woman in
artist.
a
Mother
diaper.
was hold on. Mother was an art lover.
Yes.
Doesn't say she's an artist, so she's
She's
one
a
of those.
docent, Kurt.
I didn't say she was an artist.
She's like a groupie,
Yeah.
but
Well,
probably with more sinister shit
well,
behind it.
She
But-
was probably molested too.
but
Of
that's
course, it's generational.
that's a very important role to have, is someone who loves art and can do all of the administrative type tasks for people who are creatives. That's a very important role.
Yeah, that's to run trafficking rings as well.
All right. Well, wait till we get to it.
You already know the story the second you look at him.
You don't. Okay, next slide. So his early career, he interned for the American Turkish
Oh,
Council
dear
after
God.
college.
Oh
Good.
God.
Yo,
which
that's
is-
like a
Why
that
don't
is
they
like a code for you got jagged in the ass. Hey, work for the American Turkish Council if you catch my drift. That's what that means.
Do you know what the American Turkish Council is? Do either of you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Perfect.
It's a
I
creepy.
Actually,
I'll
I
bet you-
actually
yeah.
I was a docent for it one year,
Oh,
one summer.
God, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
I didn't know what it was because it sounds like something political, but it's not. So it's
It's a business thing
It's
of
a-
creeps.
and it's the head of Pepsi, the head of Pfizer, the head of all these
Pfizer.
companies are on the board for the American Turkish Council so that they can keep working business relationships open with countries in the Middle East.
It's money laundering.
No, it's not money laundering.
It's tariff laundering.
I haven't even
You're
heard
just
of that.
saying words that sound vaguely political. Well, anyways, after that, he then worked for Brent
Scowcroft.
Scowcroft, who
Oh.
I didn't know who this was. Turns out this is like insane. So he's the former national security advisor from Nixon to George W. Bush.
I love W.
So, so all the way through, he's this guy who's like really high up in government. He is also from Utah. His quote about
Oh.
Mormonism is, "I have close personal ties to some of the church leadership. They would not consider me a good Mormon. I don't live by all the rules the Mormons like. I like a glass of wine and a cup of coffee. But yes, I do consider myself a Mormon.
Oh, that's bad. That's a bad sign. Go on.
It's part of a religious and cultural heritage."
Yeah. Okay.
So
Molester.
that's a very bad sign that he
That's
is.
a left-hand path Mormon is what you call that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's not a good sign. Okay, so the reason why he was in government for so long is apparently because he was relatively nonpartisan on most issues.
Yeah, he just like kids.
And he was against, I think, going into Iraq and against one of the other
It's all horseshit.
military things.
Listen, MormonMonarch.org. Read J.R. Sweet's
Well,
thing. That's that time frame. That's when they were doing that, and those Mormons balls deep in that creepy shit. All right,
yeah.
so this is
Well,
already.
let's look at a picture of him so you
and the
can see.
Turks are involved. That's like that's all Freemason shit. That's why it's with Turks, because that's their the Sufi branch of Islam that runs the.
Oh,
the-
we'll
okay.
get into that as well. So.
Oh,
Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, I don't want to read all of this, but essentially he worked with Kissinger Associates
oh
for
my
a
dear
long time.
God!
He
Vice chairman of Kissinger Associates, so he is a piece of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, when Kissinger died, a lot of people messaged me and said you would have loved him. People have said that's your type
you
of
know a lot
guy.
of fucked up people. It sounds like you've been with some fucked up people, so you probably would have.
Oh.
Why is he taking shots
Okay,
right
they're
now?
not fucked up. They're goofballs.
Well, Kissinger,
Established.
Kissinger was goofy himself.
Yeah, so this
Council on Foreign Relations.
yeah, so this is the founder and president of the Forum
Oh
of
my
International
God.
Policy, a
He
think
wrote
tank.
A World Transformed with George. This is a fucking lizard.
He co-wrote that book. That's
Oh.
not George H.W. Bush's book. It's both of their books. They
that
co-wrote
means is
it.
he wrote the book for George H.W.
Oh,
Bush.
he injured.
Probably.
Ew, go home, Hillary. I
Atlantic
hate that bitch.
Council.
Yeah, so here's the sign of someone who's a fucking blood-drinking lizard. They not only work with George H.W. Bush, they endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016.
He has
You,
worked
you can
with
pick
everyone.
out who's in on the thing
Yeah.
because that's what they did.
He's worked with Nixon, all the Bushes, the Clintons. He's worked with everyone. And that's why when I say he's nonpartisan, he has supported all of these people in all of their
Okay.
endeavors.
He's a
Wait.
front runner.
In 1989, he was sent to Beijing, China, following the Tiananmen Square massacre by President George H.W. Bush for a sensitive China-related mission. So there was no Tiananmen
Top.
Square massacre, by the way. That's the thing they said
Correct.
here. WikiLeaks, it came out in 2011 officially, was when, if you could look it up, the diplomatic cables, that they're not massacring anyone. They're trying to get one going. There was like agent provocateurs, and guess who they were from? George fucking Soros. And he's not welcome in China ever since then. All right, what's next?
So next is his time studying international relations.
This is the artist? Who are we talking about?
This is J.J. Brine, Jonathan Friel.
He was
the artist.
kidnapped?
Yes.
That's so chic.
So while studying abroad at the American University in Beirut, he was kidnapped by Hezbollah in 2007 in Beirut suburb. And it was him and his his Palestinian Lebanese boyfriend at the time were at a mosque down there, and they were taking pictures, which you are not allowed to do. Mm-hmm. And one of the docents at the mosque, at the museum, noticed they were taking pictures, told his superior. Oh, no. They got pulled aside and their cameras confiscated. They went through them, and in one of the photos, they found a picture he had taken of a can that had Hebrew writing on the side of it that they had taken earlier in the day at a different museum that showed what was it called? A photo taken from the temporary open air museum in the afternoon, showcasing wreckage from the war of summer 2006, which is the Israeli-Lebanese war. So,
wait. Okay.
So they had this Hebrew thing. So then all of a sudden they thought that these two guys were spies.
They probably are spies. He probably is a spy.
So one of them's white, one of them is Lebanese Palestinian, and so immediately they put hoods over their heads. They take them out back, put hoods over their heads, start driving them around in cars so they don't know where they are. March them up a flight of stairs. They keep the hoods on. They're questioning them. They load guns to try to scare them. And then they end up putting them in a waiting room with like a two-way mirror so that they could be watched. And at that point, they realized one of them is an American citizen, probably isn't a spy. But the other guy, the Palestinian Lebanese guy, they're still not sure about. So they end up questioning him. And it turns out that they're questioning whether he's Sunni or Shiite, right? Is that how you say it? Yeah. And so it turns out that one of his cousins was a Shiite person that they knew who was in some sort of maybe military-ish group. So they ended up being like, okay, he's not a spy.
Well, is he Shiite?
The guy that was with him, yeah. The boyfriend that he was with.
Okay, so that means probably works for Israel. The Shiite, so they're Sunni in Palestine. So that's what you get is Shiites to spy on fucking.
But the mosque was Shiite.
This is bullshit.
It don't matter. Those are spies. They are
always
spies.
Like boring.
They are spies. And even if you aren't going in as a spy, they'll put like trackers and shit on you that you don't even know you have to spy.
Okay.
So they're spies.
The other thing that's interesting is I said that he worked for Brent Scowcroft. Mm-hmm. He worked for him before this trip.
So he'd already been raped.
I just mean he could potentially be a spy because he's already working for someone who has a lot of dealings in those
when
areas.
You come from a fuckbag family like his,
fuckbag.
I think his family's good. Here's the other thing. Because I think
she's a volunteer. You think JJ Brine's
because
family?
they're very liked in their community. Gainesville's a very small town.
Like the Menendez parents.
Yeah, they were loved in their community.
Yes, but also
like John Wayne Gacy.
Also,
the fun clown.
One of them is a professor that has a lot of students that loved him. So,
do you know how many professors rape children?
Most of them.
Most
of them.
Don't
it's
get
called
on
tenure.
his side on this.
You don't get it till you rape a certain number of kids.
I have friends that
you don't get tenure until you rape a certain number of kids.
I'm telling you how it works.
Wait. So here's the other thing.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Is JJ only child?
Yes. Adopted only child.
Where'd they find him?
Oregon. They were living in Oregon at the time.
I don't know how many fucking... Look, he got splintered. The reason they do splintering on kids, these rich families, they pick one kid.
What is splintering?
That's when they shatter your mind with... I didn't want to keep saying, but this is the Patreon one, right?
Okay.
No, this is not. So.
Well, you're going to have to bleep it out, Justin.
Well,
I said like 40 times, and you're not allowed to talk about a real crime now.
Okay.
It's an amazing world.
Wait, so let me make a couple more points, though, before, because you're going to like...
Get the word, Justin.
See my notes from the last episode.
Why, Justin?
It's bleep, 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 bleep.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Essentially. So one of the points that I wanted to make is it was actually kind of difficult to figure out what role he did for Brett Scowcroft, because in his own words, I listened to a bunch of his podcasts that he was on with people, and I did a bunch of research on this.
What do you say?
And at one point they say, "Oh, you were a speechwriter for George W. Bush," and he goes, "No, for Brent Scowcroft."
He was an orator instead of an orator.
Yeah, exactly.
That was hilarious.
But he didn't correct them. He said, "Yes, I'm a speechwriter." Well, other things like a New York Times article, or is it a New York Post article? I can't remember because I don't have it written right here. But said that he was just an assistant to Brent Scowcroft.
He probably was a slave of Brent Scowcroft, a mind-controlled slave of him, is my guess, because those guys use that. Robert Byrd had those.
Well, here's the
listen, they splinter you. You have a front-facing personality, and what they do is they can program you with new ones, because the goal of this, by the way, was to make people that could kill people for you or spy and not even know they do it. So if you get captured, you honestly, like, I don't think he's lying. He's not a spy, because they fractured. That's the design. They did it after World War II.
So here's another.
George H.W. Bush, that's his big fucking
they're
program.
like chameleons.
So here's one other
change
thing.
in their environment. Do they know they're changing?
Jennifer Garner in the show Alias was that. Go ahead.
So one other thing that I want to look more into, but I haven't exactly found the right documents to check this out, but I am curious if JJ's father, who is the professor emeritus at UF, what years if you noted, I wrote the universities he went to up there, which was NYU and Yale. And I want to know
Harvard.
And Harvard. And I want to know what years he was at these universities and who Brent Scowcroft knew at those universities at that time, because I want to know if he's skull and bones or something. If he's some sort of a Nepo baby into this. I'm just curious. I do not know.
Yes, they're all, Nepo baby is a dumb term. They're all Nepo babies. It turns out it's not that good a deal. It's not that great a deal.
Yeah.
You've been in rehab, you met them. They seem happy to you? It ain't, it's not good. It's, people are really poor, like, imagine it's so much better, but they both have the same lives. A life of abuse and yeah, bleep it, go ahead. Fuck you two.
Well,
I don't care. Did it ruin it? Good.
To go into the art though, because this is an art podcast, and
you just splintered.
Well, we have to get into the art.
My soul just left
this.
my body.
The what?
My soul just left my body. I'm watching myself.
He break it.
So we have to get into the art of this because, this is, after all, even though that was like all of the background that's absolutely necessary to understand his art, the art that made him famous is really interesting because—
From Tumblr?
So first off, people know about what Kurt mentioned up front, which was the Art Basel exhibition. But technically, that's not his art. So that's an interesting thing we'll get into
later on. What do you mean it's
on.
not his art?
Well, we'll get into that later on.
Oh,
but
well, good. Bring it up then.
Well, no, I'm just saying this is his art, is the Tumblr aesthetic of the early 2000s.
Yeah, the thing that destroyed a generation?
The 2010s, which is stuff like intentionally unique, like moody, contradicting images.
Yeah, a lot of furries and shit. Gross stuff. It kind
of predated that. It was like social taboos. It was like 90s grunge.
So here's what happened. All the Tumblr stuff was all, besides people's stupid art, it was deviant pornography. It was a one-stop shop.
Some of it was, but not the art side that I'm talking about.
Once they took porn off it, no, not some of it, most of it. As soon as Tumblr said we're not going to have porn on it anymore, that was the end of Tumblr.
Yeah, there was a whole side of the Tumblr site that was pornography, but that's not at all what we're talking about right now.
The bulk of the site.
It doesn't matter. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the art side of this specific aesthetic that influenced the art that he was making.
Pornography is an art, okay.
But it has nothing to do with this. So the point is, the stuff that he was looking at, we're talking about like blurry, grainy photos, even the covering one eye thing, which we'll talk about that more in depth later, but that is actually a Tumblr aesthetic. That's like a thing, the Indian headdresses were that. You remember when that was really big, chicks were wearing like music festival EDM Indian headdresses. Like this is all Tumblr aesthetic stuff. And just for example, because one of his pieces is up on the left, and the one on the far right is a girl who's associated with the Vector Gallery, which is his gallery. That's one of her pieces, that computer in the swamp sort of thing. How big of a control this had on people? That thing in the middle is mine from a year before her.
Wait, what?
Which is a TV in the river.
You put a TV in the river?
I didn't put it there. It was a found object. But it was that same type of art thing. So to understand—
Wait a minute. Is this the focus of this, that you were robbed of your computer in the river?
No, I'm just saying.
This is why the porn part didn't matter.
I'm saying Tumblr had such a chokehold on art at that time in the 2010s that
Chokehold.
everyone
Ugh.
was making all the same looking shit all the time.
Okay, so remember how Jackson Pollock was a CIA thing?
Mhm.
You don't think this shit was?
I didn't say it wasn't.
Well, why are you like it doesn't matter? The porn's part of it.
Wait, so you think that there are hidden encoded messages?
It's not hidden. What do you,
I just-
first of all, none of this shit's hidden. It's a website of deviant
Who
pornography.
can read it? Like QAnon type of shit?
Did
do you
you use
Like,
Tumblr?
No.
Okay, so this is why I'm arguing you because
Coleman Hughes was on my show, and it was very funny because I remember him bringing up, and he's the exact age of when millennial twats started saying SJW shit. And he was in a fancy school apparently at the time. He goes, yeah, I call it the Tumblrification of America.
yeah.
And Tumblr, famously, there was like a civil war with 4chan, where 4chan, somebody made a prank that we're going to war, and then they would trick Tumblr into, hilarious. Tumblr is notorious.
So, but here's my issue is you never used it, so you're not speaking from experience, but I am. So Tumblr used an algorithm.
You're under suspicion because you've used it.
No,
frankly.
I mean, everyone my age used
just
it
told on
because I'm
yourself.
younger than
Hope
you,
you're
I
happy.
guess. But it uses an algorithm. So when you're looking at art and certain images, the only thing you will see is art and similar images. You will never see pornography. It will not come up on your feed.
What if I look
because
up pornography first?
Yes, but this is what I'm saying. When I'm talking about the art of it, it actually is separate because it would never even come across your feed.
Okay,
What if
If you're somebody on Tumblr all the time-
gets me off?
what? What'd you say?
What if a TV in a river gets me going?
Okay, you
That is
understand.
your porn.
Tumblr is a place to connect with your art, okay? Right? And then once you have a little Tumblr community and you could talk to each other about what pornography you like, and you're like, oh, Tumblr's filled with pornography. This is a social network. So
Yeah.
all this stuff, these network, like Mark fucking Zuckerberg didn't invent Facebook with the Winklevoss twins. That was a DARPA project. It was called LifeLog. The day Facebook came out, LifeLog shut down.
Yeah.
Because it's LifeLog.
Well, they were also just stealing MySpace,
This is
right?
so. This is what I'm pointing out. All this shit. This is all the way. Look, how many morons do you know that just like it's not even getting spied on by the government? That's one thing. You spied on by other governments, every single company. Me and Kyle making that thing with the Chinese president. We were trying to figure out how to do an impression of him without being racist. Remember?
Yeah.
And Kyle starts doing this funny ass accent. Okay, he should get in trouble for it. He was funny, but he was making me laugh. Okay, he's doing a Chinese accent. You know what they sound like? Fucking hilarious. And dude, if you just properly speak their language, you sound racist. Anyway, I'm cackling. Okay, and also his computer goes to stopasianhate.org.
Yeah.
And we
It's
were like
crazy.
freaked out. Like, did that hear what we just said?
Yeah, of course.
Proper Chinese pronunciations.
Yeah, yesterday my boyfriend was like, I was on the phone with him and he said, "Are you tinkling?" And I was tinkling, and then he got immediately he got a reel that said tinkle.
Yeah, because his phone's listening.
Immediately.
Okay, so
yeah, like within
remember
1
North
second.
Korea and the Soviet Union bags, they would spy on you all day? Well, that's old-fashioned analog. Somebody's on a wall with a glass.
Old fascist.
Remember they used to say old fascist on Wendy's. So basically they tricked everybody into carrying a little North Korea in their pocket and just you're monitored all day. Everybody loves it. And now that people are atheists, because the thing that people were missing was they don't believe in any kind of God watching them.
Oh my God.
Is no one's watching me. So now I don't exist unless I'm on here looking in the phone or I'm putting my stupid art or my disgusting personal furry diaper porn.
You brought up a good point.
Yeah.
What?
It was actually really hard to make this PowerPoint because the amount.
Because you were scream laughing into a pillow. That's Mike
That
McRae's.
also-
That's Mike McRae's
that
line. I
also-
can't.
Did that really happen?
No, I
Mike
mean, I was
McRae
having a
said
good
that.
time. I was having a
Yeah.
good time. But there is such an immense amount of their art from the Vector Gallery because it was at a time where it was like put everything on the internet. So let me tell you, they went just quantity over quality. I mean, it's just not, there are
Yes.
so many images of this shit. They all look almost identical that
Well,
it's
what do you
like
think the purpose of that
nauseating.
is? Like when they say the same phrase over and over again, democracy's on the ballot.
Yeah.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Well, yeah, and a lot of it's just to get attention. But so now we're going to talk about the Family and the Process Collective, which is
Mhm.
different than the Process Church of the Final Judgment, but we'll get into that also.
Do you think that they had so much art, but each each, like you said that about it's on democracy on the ballot, but all of the art had like the same message in it. So you see it over and
We
over.
already have AI
again.
art. People are the
But I'm
AI.
talking about in the gallery. So it was like all the art in the gallery was like to get people into the satanic cult. So they just kept showing more and more and all the same message. So it was confusing to people because they were like seeing it over and over again.
It's all to go to your subconscious.
Yeah,
but
when we
Yeah.
look at the gallery next, you guys will
Subliminal.
see what I'm talking about because it's overwhelming and intentionally. So you're right. You're 100% right.
and the Swazis, Kurt.
Well, yeah. So this is the progression here that I have laid out for you. So
That's the hooks and crikes. I don't know how to say it.
the process of the final judgment is a Scientology splinter group. It started out being called compulsions analysis. Surprisingly, it actually has no affiliation with the Manson family. That's an urban myth.
Manson didn't try Scientology.
Nope. It's
Well, how do you
actually,
know?
so I'll tell you exactly what happened. I don't have it written down here, but what happened was because the process of the final judgment was considered satanic at the time, one of the prosecutors in the Manson case asked Manson if he knew of the guy Moore who was in that local chapter of the process. And Manson did his Manson thing and he said, I know Moore. Moore is me. I am Moore. And so that guy
Like Orlando Jones. What's it got?
This is-
Orlando Bloom.
Manson, and we're gonna,
I'm Will Smith.
yes, we're gonna get into
He's
this.
me.
But we're all this collective one.
Not Bloom.
And so my evil is not
Jones?
on me. My
Yeah.
evil is on everyone is a theme throughout this entire thing. And it's Manson's core ideology is
Okay,
that there is
Manson didn't
no,
have his own ideology. He was a fucking CIA.
he just
I
said
also
things.
love how you wrote Charlie, like he's a good friend of yours.
Okay, I'm actually a Charlie advocate in some ways.
I thought they say Charles.
Which ways?
in the ways that
go on.
in the ways that he did not commit the murders he was convicted of, which I think
He programmed other people to commit the murders?
yes,
Yeah, women, because
Yeah.
he's a bitch.
that's a bastardization of the judicial system in the United States of America.
Wait,
you
what?
cannot charge someone for a crime they didn't commit.
Yeah, now think about what he did. He programmed some broken children to kill people.
He did it to women.
That's a guy who learned that from Intel.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're doing a test run on a thing that they've continued to do since
So your crime is brainwashing,
That's yes.
not murder.
No,
But that's
human
not
nature's programmability, and they studied it with the finest Nazi scientists in the land, and they then put it in practice. And all these things you see are little experiments.
Yeah, I'm not
All of
disagreeing
them.
with you.
All these things, look at that symbology that you have at the top.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you.
seems-
What I'm saying is that the
No, you think I'm going off the rails, but I'm
No,
right.
no,
it's
I'm
kind
saying-
of a form of like hypnosis.
yes, absolutely.
Manson could hypnotize you into
Yeah.
being high on heroin. Danny Trejo
Absolutely.
said it. In prison, he hypnotized the three of them. They would like kind of protect. He was like this short, broke guy with a rope for a belt.
And if you
And he
learn,
goes, "If I'll hypnotize you to get high." He goes, "No way." So they were heroin addicts. He hypnotized two of them, and the third one couldn't get hypnotized because he'd never tried heroin. But the other two, as soon as he hypnotized them, they got nauseous. They were high. So Manson had that kind of skill. So
So-
if Manson can do that, what do you think the people in charge could do? Well, I'll tell
Yeah.
you what they could do: make this whole shit.
yeah. So here's the thing. I agree with you on everything. My issue is that Manson was abused into this system that he's a part of.
I read the book Manson in his own words, so I know he was.
You asked why I was. I feel like you're mad at me, but you asked why I was defending Charlie. I'm defending Charlie because I'm agreeing with you, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
So
God.
he's a victim as much as a perpetrator. On top of it, he was publicly tried in the social
The
sphere
prosecutor was a
for
maniac.
crimes he didn't commit.
Wait, well, no. If you program people to go kill, I think you did commit a crime.
Yeah, that's
You
called-
did commit a crime. It
isn't
is
that
not
called-
murder. It's
But no, it's
Yes, it
murder in
is.
the second degree.
Of course it is.
if you hire someone.
Oh, but I thought it
Yeah,
No,
there has to be
okay.
money transferred. If you don't give money to someone, then it's not
Okay,
murder.
well,
Really?
whatever. First of all, giving
Yeah.
money to someone and of their own free will, they go, "I'm going to do a crime." That's a more moral action than taking someone who's been damaged and using LSD to program them with hypnosis
Yes,
to do it.
but here's the slippery
That's
slope.
way no. Wait, that's first of all, forget this. We're down it. We're at the bottom of the thing. Don't
I'm
worry.
saying if I tell you to go outside and kill someone and you do it,
No,
that's
you-
not on me.
that's not what he did.
I'm just saying this is a slippery
Stop what you're
slope
saying.
situation.
No. That's not how that
drugged him.
worked. If you tell me to do that, of course I'm not going to do it. However, if I'm some broken child that comes to you and you hypnotize me
Mm-hmm.
and feed me drugs and program me to do it, yeah, no, that is on you.
Or
But
can
you're-
that be a form of kidnapping?
Well, also you're a grown adult who can make your own decisions about taking drugs.
These are all
about
16
where
year
you're
olds.
at.
Yeah.
They're all kids. He was the
no,
only
first
adult.
off, Tex is like 25. when this happened. He was not a
Okay, he's the
child.
older one. The rest of them were kids.
Not all of them. Some of them were, but not all of them. But also, I think even at 16, if you're taking acid, you have a choice. You have a choice to do all of these things. They're not immune from the decisions they made. They're adults.
I'm not saying they're immune from the decision made, but Sirhan, the guy that's doing time for killing RFK's dad, that guy was programmed. They call it suggestibility. You get people from good families. That's why they're all middle class and upper mostly, his fucking cult. So they were broken when they got there by their parents, just like this fucking guy. This is a time-honored tradition. George H.W. Bush, by the way, is the head of it. Yeah. He's the fucking head of it.
Okay, so the other thing that's interesting about the process of the final judgment is they went to the prosecutors and they were like, hey, we have no association with Charles Manson. We don't know why you even brought us up to them. And the prosecutors were like, oh, okay. Well, the next day they went and visited Charlie in jail and they were like, hey, can you stop fucking mentioning us?
Wait,
because
I'm sorry, the Process Church or the Scientologists?
The Process Church, which is the spinoff. They went to the prosecutors and were like, we have nothing to do with Charles Manson or the family. We've never met them. We don't know them. Then they went and visited Charlie in prison and they were like, can you stop bringing this up? We have nothing to do with you and we don't want to be associated with you. But it didn't matter. It forever tarnished their reputation because Charlie kind of like claimed them and was saying he had read one of their books and was repeating shit out of their book. Okay, so it didn't really matter.
So they programmed Charlie.
They didn't even know he had the book, but what are you going to do?
That Process Church is from Intel, number one. So was Charles Manson.
Yeah,
so they're all connected in the first.
Yeah.
No. Process Church also is a fucked up thing that never ended. Okay?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I don't believe that story that they asked him to stop associating. That's an Intel fucking op, that fucking church. And he was part of that. There's no fucking way they're telling the truth. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Sorry, what is Process Church?
So that's on the record, actually.
Their theology, by the way, if you read it, you can immediately know they're pieces of shit.
Kurt, but that's on the record that they did that.
What?
That they went to the prosecutors and then went to the jail and did that. That's not like an opinion. That's like on the record.
Yeah, so what? You can't go. You ever hear of beards? You don't know how fucking shit works? You don't think they could come up with a way for someone to go, oh, see, so they're not connected because there's a record that
No. I mean, you just said you didn't believe it, but I'm like, that is like on record that they actually did that.
Their theology, I know their theology, which is fucking the same goddamn thing as Kabbalah. It's all the same shit.
Scientology, yeah, essentially.
Scientology is not the fucking main big thing. That's just another process church that did a little better. Much like how Jackson Pollock, or who's the guy they pushed? I'm sorry, not Pollock, is it?
Yeah, it's Pollock. Yeah. Among other people, but
what's a Process Church?
It is Scientology.
And what is Scientology?
Scientology is a cult that
you know what Scientology is.
Yeah, I know, but if you like broke it down, what is their goal?
Their goal is to clear the earth.
Yeah, to clear the earth.
To get clear. Wait,
it's actually kind of complicated.
You sound like a suppressive person. You don't know about getting clear? You got to go clear.
It's
Zoe.
kind of too long to explain, but it does have to do with like clearing your mind of like, you're going to be around forever. You're part of this forever consciousness. So you have to like get all of your past lives and other people's past lives off of you.
It's a fucking mystery school. It's another mystery school. So mystery school is like you go into a religion and you don't know what they actually think until you get to a certain, like you're only ready to know this amount of it. Yeah. And then you pay money or you suck dicks.
It's also a multi-level marketing scheme and they've infiltrated the IRS. So it is very interesting, Scientology and the Process Church, because they've done these things as well.
Okay, so Scientology, he had people go in the IRS. So once he was out of the picture, fucking fat redhead guy, I can't remember his
L.
name.
Ron Hubbard.
Once he's out of the picture, the second guy takes over. I think I'm
David
guessing,
Miscavige is the second guy.
Yeah, I think that's when it became a CIA cutout to control actors and shit. So that way, because it's not as easy to have like just a direct cult like your Manson families or your Process Church. That's a little too direct, and a lot of it's come out.
Yeah.
So then you get cutouts, they call them. So that means I get like, the National Endowment for Democracy, and that's some CIA group that it's like a fake NGO. That's what these religions are. They're all have the same fucking thing, which is you got body thetans. That's just his term for it, but that's what a Dybbuk is in Kabbalah, is the same thing as a body thetan. It's just Kabbalah. It's just fucking Kabbalah. And the whole goal of this is, there's a light and a dark side, and we're above both of them. Yeah. You know, you've got to get above good and evil. and then you'll be one with God.
You have to reach nirvana.
And there's one
It's
consciousness.
Luciferianism, and it's not the same as Satanism.
The through
Luciferianism.
line of all of this is that there's one consciousness. That's the through line of all of this. So I want to mention, you pointed
It breaks
out,
down individuality too. To have you, we're all one, and you've got to fucking break down you and just become part. That's to break down your individuality and will. These are all mind control methods.
That's
going
what they
back.
say in AA.
Yeah, of course.
They
Well,
say I don't go.
They tell
Well, you're
the
out of
people,
control.
They say you have terminal uniqueness. You think that you're unique when you're not. You're the same as everyone else.
Well, in the court, in ways, I mean, it's not overall, but in
But they
being an
just tell
They
alcoholic,
also
clearly.
say
tell you you're
everything-
sick. You have
they also
terminal
say
weakness.
everything is out of your control. That's like a thing,
Your
and people
will.
are going to disagree with me on that, but that is the underlying thing in AA is that this thing is happening to you and it's out of your control, which is what the Serenity Prayer technically
You're
is.
possessed. That look, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
You're possessed. So
Which
in
brings
in
up
an older
Synanon
time,
and Synanon, which is
What?
one of the original things
Do you-
of
What
Do
the
you
fuck is
AA.
that?
think that's why
It's a
like,
cult that's like AA.
It's a hypnotizing thing when when every time you go to an AA meeting, you feel better from
Yes.
it. It's like
Yes.
they treat it like
Yes.
it's like a drug. Like
It
you go
works.
and
It
you
is a
feel
cult.
better,
look,
and then
drugs
you
work.
leave.
That's why you need AA.
Yeah. AA is a cult. Synanon's a much more heinous version of that cult, but it is technically a cult.
By the way, marijuana was always on the list when they went through what every drug does to control people. Marijuana was always forbidden to these people because it breaks the programming.
Sorry. Okay, so
But how LSD doesn't?
LSD helps it. They put LSD on purpose to get anti-war protesters to be jerk offs.
And that's
LSD,
what
they are.
And weren't-
LSD helps it if you let it.
Do you think that they were also like, 'cause
Yes,
they were
yes.
also giving people who were like had really bad PTSD from the war LSD and stuff to make them, but they're making them to forget stuff because maybe the government did really fucked up stuff to them. So they're like,
Yes,
we need
well,
to wash their brains clear so they don't
that's
remember.
just one drug that they tested, but there's lots of drugs that can wash your brain clear.
Well,
Yeah.
they were all doing heroin in World War II, which is why that would be my favorite war to be in.
Yeah.
In World War II, not
Yeah.
Vietnam.
In World War II,
Heroin?
opium, right?
No, opium's
That's
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Whatever, Nom. I think they did it in World War II.
I'm sure there was heroin.
In the bunkers, I thought heroin was going on.
No, because you wouldn't be
No.
very good.
No, that was the meth war mostly.
Yeah. You wouldn't be very good
That's
if you
what
were on
Germany
heroin.
had. They all had meth and they do a
Okay.
blitz.
So I want to talk about, speaking of World War II, the progression right here. This is very important. So the swastika, everyone knows about that ancient Hindu symbol that the Nazis used. Okay, so then we have the process of the final judgment, which is that second symbol there. They have the ring around it, which has the process of the final judgment written there. And then inside is a version of the swastika that's specific to them. So, okay, so one day a
In
band...
Chase Bank.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get to
Well,
those.
they know that the banks are run by the Jews.
Well, that's Nazi.
It's the opposite of what you think. So Skinny Puppy, do you guys know that band?
Yeah, I remember Skinny
Misdirection.
Puppy.
It's like an Anthony Jeselnik joke.
Oh yeah, it goes
So Skinny Puppy meets with Rick Rubin at Shangri-La Studio in Malibu.
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La. That's actually better.
Shangri-La. Isn't that a
Shangri-La.
book?
It is like a bar on the east side. So they sit down to have a brainstorming session, and during that, one of the members produces a book from the Process Church of the Final Judgment, or a
Genesis
magazine.
Peorage. Do you know who that is?
I don't know who any of
He's
these
like a Kenneth Anger, some old like
Okay.
satanic homo.
So they see this image on the front of it, and they're like,
I mean, literally, they're like, I'm satanic.
yeah, well, they see this image on the front of it,
Satanic
and they're
homo.
like, that's the image we want to use for our new album, and we're going to call it The Process.
Oh, it's OTO. So OTO is the fucking overriding thing. That's Barbara Bush's. I really believe
One
it.
of the members is OTO, the other ones are not. So it gets more interesting than this. So they take that symbol, they make a finer version of it, which is the third symbol there, and put that on all the album
Mhm.
stuff for
Yeah, it's a
the album,
process.
The Process. So in 1993, they receive a cease and desist letter from Chase Bank claiming that they own the Process Church logo. So then they have to write them back with their lawyers and be like, no, this is the Process Church of the Final
The
Judgment
Swazi belongs to everyone.
logo. Yeah. Well, then Chase Bank realized in that moment that if they keep going for this and try to prosecute it, it's going to come out that they have a fucking swastika for a symbol.
Right.
So Chase Bank has to drop the lawsuit so that they don't get bad press of everyone being like, yo, that's a fucking swastika.
Yeah, right.
So that brings up, I feel like people were critical of me when I said that the Chase Bank logo is
Who
a
was
swastika.
critical of you?
People online, who cares? But
What people?
that's what I'm saying. It is literally a swastika, and I didn't even know this when I said
I've
that.
been telling
but
people
it
to
is.
swastika for months and months now.
I
And
know.
I guess I don't listen to anybody.
There's a lot of Swazis out there.
Yeah, you can't say you own the Swazi. It belongs to all of us.
Yeah,
in
it
this
belongs to
room.
the people.
So
As long as it's in your heart.
yeah, as long as that's terrible. So
I'm the only one apparently in the world without a Swazi in my heart. All these motherfuckers have it.
Yeah.
They're fighting over it.
So that third symbol there is going to be important to J.J. Brine in the Vector Gallery. That is not the symbol of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. It is the symbol of the Process Collective, which is a group of modern people who many of them ended up joining the Satanic Temple.
Okay, so that's a CIA operation from the fucking
Because
start.
they hate Anton LaVey.
Yeah, but they follow Michael fucking Aquino.
Aquino, yes.
Well, his temple is set. Satanic Temple's that twerp with the fucking dead eye.
Yes.
That Duncan was
Yes.
like, I know him, that's a fake contact lens.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Tim
right.
Duncan,
No. Duncan
your
Trussell.
boyfriend.
Don't bring that up, it's painful. I'm gonna have to go through a whole process to forget that you said that. We fought each other over our Swazi logos.
So now we're on to the
Yours was
first
in your butthole.
the first part of J.J. Brine's artistic career. So remember, he's in the Middle East. He's working for Brent Socroft.
That reeks of an intelligence operation so much.
Yeah.
So I mean, I couldn't be more obvious as what it is. Who criticized you? Tell me your fucking name.
So he comes back to America, and
We're all going to hell.
in the early 2010s, he starts a solo career as a thing called Code Cracker. I listened to the music. How would I describe it? What type of music is that?
Mind control music?
It's like techno 80s, I guess I would say.
Right, mind control music. Yeah.
So then in 2010,
German fucking industrial mind control.
in 2012, he meets Lena Marquise. And she and he join a group together called the La Biancas.
And they have a version of the Swazi on their forehead.
They have
Well, that's an X.
two X's.
Well, those are kind of like Swazis.
Oh, look at that. So they're
Swazis
covering
without
one
the
eye,
wings.
but see the male and female merging together to form the androgyne and the disgusting fucking cult they're in. See,
So-
they join back together to form the perfection. That's a Kabbalah thing.
Yes. And also,
Wow,
you
this is
see how
repulsive.
one of each of their eyes are covered. So
No, now they're one unit. So
they're
the two
one
eyes
unit.
are.
And
yeah.
also, you cover one of your, well, we're going to
It's
get
called
to
being illumined, is what they're doing right
yeah,
there.
we're going to get to the eye thing in a minute. But so as the La Biancas, which is obviously named after the La Bianca murders, which
Oh,
is
I
the
thought it was
Manson-
labia.
I murdered some labia one time.
Murder that pussy.
So the the La Bianca murders, which are the Manson family murdered the La Biancas at their home after the Tates, right? That was the second murder.
No,
yeah.
I thought.
Oh, Sharon Tate.
I thought
Sharon
the La
Tate was-
Biancas were first.
Were the La Biancas first?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Anyways, they were obsessed with the Velvet Underground, Lana Del Rey, hipster shit,
Lana Del Rey
Tumblr.
is her whole thing is a put together package of a monarch, like
Yeah.
a presidential model. They call it. That's it's like this one simple trick to get in their pants. The entire government developed that, and they had it for real.
Yeah,
so you have
plus-
these like ditzy like Marilyn Monroe is one of the first mind control presidential models.
Well, they put her on tons of drugs.
That's right, and they
What
would.
about the
Henry-
who's the woman who played Shirley Temple?
Oh,
I don't know.
She
but-
was fucked in the head.
I
Eliza.
know.
She moved to the
Liza
Bahamas.
Minnelli's
no,
mom.
wait. Hold
That's
on.
not
Judy
Liza
Garland.
Wait, Judy Garland's
Judy
not.
Garland did not play Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple's
Shirley
a person.
Temple's her own person.
Oh, she played the Wizard of Oz, bitch.
No,
yeah.
her daughter was in. No,
Yeah,
yeah,
She was
Yeah.
Dorothy, and her daughter's Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, you're correct.
So that one, I think, just the studio guys were passing her around. Look, drugging someone up and passing them around is a time-honored tradition of all facets of government and industry. But this is a very specific thing. Presidents can't be caught in blackmail for cheating and this and that, and maybe you could get compromised by fucking a spy, like Hunter Biden did in China. So you don't want that. So what they did was, part of Monarch, the girls that they would have programmed from the time they were children. And Henry Kissinger was the guy who really got this going.
I love him.
So they had these whores that the president, like Reagan, could fuck, and George H.W. Whatever your creepy fucking, because you're probably only in politics because you came from a family that does shit like this. So they would give you like you're the whore of your choice. Maybe it's a kid.
It's Epstein Island, basically.
Yes, that's Epstein Island's
But here
one
on the
vector.
mainland.
It's just one vector of the thing.
Yeah.
So Lana Del Rey looks exactly like that, like a programmed fucking and you have a list of words you could say to make her what you want, hypnotic fucking suggestions that they've imprinted. It's called Monarch. That's why it's called Monarch Butterfly, because you get transformed.
Yeah. So
What about, sorry, can I say something?
Yeah.
What about how we were talking about the other day about how people are saying they don't remember the Taylor Swift concerts?
Well, that's the flashing lights, and that's a thing that is part of it. Now that they've done this to individual people, okay, now right now we're in the mass rollout phase of them doing this, because you might notice people are fucking stupid now and they can't remember shit past 2 headlines ago. And I swear to you, you might not believe me, but when I was young, it wasn't that bad. It was still bad, but this is like people just forget shit. They're compartmentalized in their fucking heads.
They don't even need acid anymore, which was my point in being like acid. It depends on who you are as a person of whether or not that's going to make you programmable.
Okay, well,
now
if you're born into a family where you get raped from the time you're 4 by your family members and you split into separate people, you didn't have that happen to you. So no, you're not in control then. They purposely do that to children because the age you're talking about where you go, I know I don't want to do this.
I was talking about the Taylor Swift concert. So what I was saying is that you don't even need the acid anymore, because when people are so open to not having an individuality, they can be programmed with far less. You don't need drugs or anything. You can use music or art or the TV
Or trauma.
or trauma.
Trauma
Trauma is the
met-
number one thing you need.
I met this girl in rehab and she was diagnosed as a sociopath. And I was like, I really want to be a sociopath. And she goes, I can teach you. It's a learned skill.
Yeah,
And
it's called a secondary psychopath.
She was
actually.
like, I was left alone a lot as a child.
Yeah.
And that's how I developed it, for having to be like learn to fend for myself. And everything was only about like me doing it for myself. And she was like, I'll teach you.
That
Why
makes
is that
sense.
sociopathic? That just sounds like you're resourceful.
Because she stopped having feelings because she kept being left alone all the time.
Yeah, there's
So she
a
had to- she had to,
developmental
like-
age.
And then
yeah.
she became so she didn't care about other people because she was like
Well, that's a
alone.
secondary psychopath. That's a sociopath is like you're in the mafia and your dad was in the mafia.
Well, they
or you're-
actually changed psychopath in the DSM-5. They call
what?
it an antisocial personality disorder.
Well, that's a sinister.
Oh, they put it under that?
They
That's
changed it.
interesting. Huh.
All these terms, by the way, are horseshit. Just so you know, every single one of these terms.
Psychopath was the best one.
Well, I feel like it's a loose science. I'll put it that way, where it's like
No,
they
it's not even a science. They can't. Every other medical science, they can look at the part of your body and see how it works. They can't do that with brains. So they're just flying with whatever
Well, no,
the fuck.
science
Our
is gathering data,
social-
so it's a
Science
science
is not gathering data.
So
it's about
psycho-
testing
Yes.
hypotheses.
Yeah.
Psychopaths don't feel empathy. And then
Right.
is it sociopaths can feel some emotions or
Of course, they compartmentalize it. The
no?
idea
What about
of
narcissists?
I don't know everything about narcissists.
Have you ever heard of the dark triad?
Yeah.
That's a great disease to have.
It's how you become successful.
of people with the dark
No, it's hot.
You have to. A lot of people have that programmed into them, and it's all part of being successful. So when you see these things of like young leadership program to unlock your inner power, that's all dark occult shit that they're putting in HR terms.
Yeah.
And so the people that go to I was like, who the fuck goes to that? People from fucked up, shitty ass rich families that are like, you might as well be born and raised by wolves.
I
I
know
also-
my friend, one of my friend family banks at Deutsche Bank. And they were doing something for all the children of the parents who they're setting up trust funds for.
Oh
and
my
they took all the
God.
children and they started putting them in a thing and they took them on a trip and we started having like events for them. So and then
That's,
they started like bonding with people from different countries. And it's
Yeah.
like they started being like, one of them kept being like, my Deutsche Bank. Like it was
So
crazy.
this
Are you
guy's-
shitting me? Deutsche Bank? That's the one, the mysterious bank. Who profited? Somebody made a bet on 9/11 and made like $1 trillion on it. Just like when Trump got shot.
Mhm.
The firms here that they stood to make $1 trillion, the people in this fund if Trump died, it was Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank, not the Jews.
So something
Bank.
else interesting, this guy, JJ Brine's father, the type of tax law that he studied
It's helping
was
rich people keep all their money.
trust
Yeah.
and estate.
Right.
Yeah. So something else I wanted
He's in the
to
network. That's the network it's called.
Something else I wanted to say about the La Biancas is obviously
Leia.
the Lana Del Rey thing, but they also were very obsessed with conspiracy theories, true crime, the Manson family specifically, the Process Church, and everything esoteric.
Sounds like Kurt.
Yeah, right? So the Monarch Butterfly single, you can find this on Spotify, but the file is corrupt, so you can't play it. So if
Oh.
anyone in the comments can find a version of this Monarch Butterfly song,
Don't
please.
listen to it.
No,
You'll
send
go-
it
What
to me.
about
I wanna
how
hear
they
it,
would
you
say
know?
about like records and stuff? If you play them backwards, it's like Satan.
Okay, so that's a
It does sound
okay.
evil.
Here's something very interesting because that's like the horseshit public thing. That's based. There's a guy who claimed that when people are speaking, you can reverse what they're saying, and their subconscious, what they really think, will be coming out in their language.
Yeah.
Sounds far fetched, but the guy ended up being his office burned down and killed or something. Like, so I think that is like muddying the waters of that possibly. But subliminal shit is 100% real. That's how hypnosis works. But you do have to be open to it if you're taught to be.
Also, wouldn't you have to put the subliminal thing in the record when it plays forward because no one's listening to it backwards?
No. The record, it's not that you get programmed by a backward message. The original thing was when you're speaking, if I play what you're saying forwards, if I play it backwards, I'll hear some element of the truth.
Yeah, but
you're
that
not
just
telling.
that seems like
Not the same. That's not the same as a
nonsense.
programming. What?
Yeah, that seems like nonsense
It
versus
does
like
until the guy's office gets burned down by government people and he's
Yeah.
killed. Then I go, was something?
well, it just seems like the subliminal message would be something more cryptic, but just played forward the way that you listen to
You're
it.
not
right?
hearing me. The subliminal message record thing is the idea that, okay, you listen to some whatever shitty music you like and
Lana Del Rey.
yeah, whatever, you listen to Lana Del Rey and then backwards it goes, Satan is cool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a different thing than Lyndon Johnson talking about the Kennedy thing. And then when you play it backwards, he's going, we did it. Okay. That's what this thing is. Those are two separate things. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
But you're
I don't
also
know, but
saying that
play
you
it backwards. Maybe you'll
Can you play
understand
it?
it.
Okay, we'll try. You wanted to hear this. I will say it leaves
Let's
something.
fucking party.
It leaves something to be desired in the rhyming aspect. I'll give.
Well, it's just
that.
a certain beat frequency with a guy droning some fucking shit.
It's
Like,
very.
"Well,
It's like
hell."
techno Morrissey, but without like the cleverness of Morrissey, I guess.
It's not meant to be clever. It's meant to say, "We're going to hell with the Pope." You've been around.
Said we're going
people
out to
partying.
party. Yeah.
People are partying. The songs like "We're fucking losers" and we're gonna do like
And
all
we're
the
gonna
songs
party.
have that.
Yeah.
And what it does is lock you in to what you're doing, like gangster rap. It's just like a thing like that.
Gangster.
Yeah.
Remember, gangster rap was also invented by the fucking by the goddamn CIA when they brought crack in. The CIA is just like they're just like a water boy. They're just what's the term from the museum again?
Docent.
They're just docents.
You
for
can't
the-
hate on docents. Docent's an important role. I feel
Well,
like
I'm
I have to
saying
defend
the
docents
CIA is
this whole
paid,
episode.
but they're docents for the
Yeah.
like your ruling class, like this guy's parents.
So now we're going to get into magic, thought, and speech, which we kind of mentioned earlier, but eye is a big one, how they're covering one of their eyes.
Mhm.
That is a Tumblr aesthetic, but obviously there's also the Illuminati thing to that, which is usually that.
They're not called that, and it means you could being illumined is after you've passed. It's like being a clear. You've passed
it's
through all
also
the stages
that,
of the mystery.
Not that.
Well, what's
Huh?
the symbol for QAnon?
It's different.
A Q.
Yeah, but
Q,
how do
Zoe.
they do it with their hands?
Zoe, it's a Q.
Zoe, my name's Chloe.
Whatever.
Great, Kurt. So as I
I need
was
another
saying,
claw.
as I was saying, the less obvious part about the eye thing is that it's considered, especially in the Middle East, to be a physical window into your soul.
Yes.
And so using the word I instead of the letter I when you speak or write,
Mhm.
it makes it have a heavier magical meaning
Okay,
to
let
it.
me translate that. That is what's called cryptic. It's like a language that these cunts speak.
Yes, it is.
And so that's where you make these. It's like you
So-
make stupid
Wait,
word
but
puns.
also they're saying I, which is also a word for sheep, and they're all becoming sheep, so they're following each other.
Will you go back? I mean sheep.
Yeah,
Where does that mean sheep?
everywhere.
This is the first I've ever heard of this. You
I think
Am
she
I
just said it
wrong?
really confidently.
just
I
blew
think.
my fucking mind because I've
Or
never
is
heard
it
that.
you? Ooh.
Well, the other thing is I. When you're saying I, you're saying the singular version of that.
Maybe it's E.
It's meaning like singular yourself, one. In other languages like French, you'll say one does this, one does that instead of I do this, I do that. So that's part of covering that one I thing is saying me, individual, myself. So that's another part of that as well.
Wait, go back.
To what?
So you're saying it means you're not doing this as the group, like this is my personal project as part of the group. What does that mean?
It's saying I am an individual.
But they put both their eyes
am-
together in that picture.
They did,
That means
but
they're-
it's two singular people. I. Otherwise, it would be four. So
Sorry.
it's I.
So it's
one and one.
Yo, this
sorry.
is gay as shit.
EWE is the
okay,
plural
that's a
world
you.
for female sheep.
It's
That's
you.
you.
It's
So it's still you.
Did I just get hypnotized?
hey.
Play that song again. We're going to hell.
Another thing about J.J. Brine and the Vector Gallery is they spoke Vectorian.
Oh, dear
Vectorian
God.
is their own language that they use. The use of the word I instead of the letter I is one of those examples.
Yeah.
But it's also they had coded language they would use
Oh, you don't say.
to one another, which is a cult habit. That
Yeah,
is
right.
a habitual thing of a cult. J.J. Brine
like being
himself.
working in HR.
Yes. Yeah. And you have jargon is what that's called in a corporate sense. But in this sense, it's cult behavior. But jargon is cult behavior as well. J.J. Brine had a private calendar and clock, meaning he didn't believe it was the year that you believe it is. He thought of time differently.
Okay, so what year did he say it was?
His time was passing at a faster scale. So at one point he was behind in years, and then slowly he surpassed until, like, there was one interview I listened to. He was on a podcast where he said he opened the Vector Gallery in his time in, I think, 2013, but in your time it would have been 2015. So this is going to come into play later.
Is he a Montauk kid? What is this?
There's a reason why I bring this up, because
The
it's
Vector
going to.
Gallery is a portal for time travel.
You're just saying things.
They believed it was a portal. Okay.
Okay, see?
UEWE are just
she's
saying
right.
things.
She's right. They believed it was a portal.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So
Kurt.
they had this thing called vector purple, which I tried to look up specifically what color purple it is. Doesn't really matter. It's just kind of a purple, like a toxic-y sort of neon
Like
purple.
Charlie XCX.
Like
well,
Barney.
This is tiny.
What'd you say?
Like Barney.
Yeah.
Was
Barney
used-
purple.
But
it
it's
is.
also a lighter color purple, and it's also holographic. And this is used, this is actually like an ode back to a much stronger through line in art, which would take us back to Yves Klein and the idea of Yves Klein blue.
Yves?
Yeah, whatever.
You're saying Yves.
Yves.
Yeevesy.
What was it?
You.
You pronounce French words good.
You pronounce.
I don't pronounce anything good.
I can't
first off.
pronounce French words very well.
But
was it
he-
Italian? I'm thinking?
No,
He-
it's yes.
Chinese. You do a good Chinese accent.
He came up with his own blue, and then
Yes.
he patented it and trademarked it so that if you use that blue,
BLEW.
it was his blue. So Vector Purple is kind of like their version of that. It's their purple in their art group. He cursed Kim Davis, who is a Kentucky County clerk
I remember this.
who refused to sign gay marriage licenses.
Yeah, I remember this.
He cursed her, and then he believed his curse worked because she got fired. However, the reality of this, because it got leaked, is
What do you mean? What got leaked?
that they were doing this and that it worked. But
What do you mean? What, it got leaked?
I'm trying to explain, but you interrupted.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it leaked that the reality of this was they came up with this idea to curse this woman because they thought that it would actually make a funny Vice article and that they knew that Vice would pick it up.
Yeah, well, Vice is owned by the CIA as well.
Yeah, Vice is so
Retarded.
and also like hipster clickbait
Okay, so
that they knew they had a
okay,
connection.
this is not. They did put a curse and it did work. That's not two separate things. There's the plane of cause and the plane of effect in gay ass magic.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is Vice. That's why they always say platforming.
Mm-hmm.
That once you know how the plane of cause works, the media. See how it's both secular and magical at the same fucking time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they go, so it's not a troll, it's not a fucking joke, it's real magic, but that's what magic is.
Well, it's real when it works, but there's other things that they would do that wouldn't work. So then does that make their magic
No, there's
not
a hit
real?
rate. They go by a hit rate.
What's
Yeah.
magical realism?
Look, investing in the stock
That's
market.
a term in art. You
Yeah.
want to do that episode
Okay,
with
wait.
us? What?
It's based on hit rate, like picking stocks. Do you understand? People that are wizards, yeah, it's not going to work every time. It's the will effect going into the plane of cause to create effects.
Yeah.
So the plane of cause could be a lot of things. It could be the subconscious. It could be the media. If you control the fucking media, now you got a high magic ritual.
Yeah. So
that's what the fuck that shit is.
So
it's
they
all
didn't
the same.
control Vice, but they did know people who worked at Vice. So it was very obvious that they were going to plant this story
That's called
and came
spells.
up with it. Yeah.
By the way, spelling, I found this out from Richard from Grand Theft World.
Yeah.
It's called that because, back in the day, people can't read or read or write. Those are separate jobs that priests know how to do. They're mysterious. That's what a spell is. That's why you spelling, just knowing words and how to use them is a spell.
Wow.
Advertising, marketing, that's a form of hypnosis. All this shit is not like movies. It's just mundane shit you think is normal. It's actually fucking magic shit.
So
It's so gay. I hate it.
So
I hate it.
the other thing
GEH gay.
this is a really big important thing about J.J. Brine in the Vector Gallery is the rise of Alan. And I am pronouncing
Who's
that
Alan?
right. It's Alan.
Who's Alan?
Alan is Satan. Alan is God. Alan
Allah.
is you. Alan is me.
Allah.
Alan is all of
Is there
this.
anything more about Alan?
Yes.
What's his last name?
Is he hot?
He must have a
So
very long hyphenated name.
I'm going to quote, I listened to a bunch of podcasts by J.J. Brine, and I'm going to quote some of the notes that I took on it. So this is one from him. I am Satan. There is the human Satan here on earth, me. Then there is the Satan in people's minds. Satan is the adversary of the human age, really. So this is my
That's correct.
adversarial role, I suppose.
That's correct.
Satan is change, and change is God. It all cycles.
Okay, so that's what every religion that has that thing where it's just, they're just light and dark balancing each other out. All the people, what he is Luciferian. Well, he's a programmed fucking sex thing, but that's Luciferian. That's
This
not
is
Satanism.
Manson. This is literally, you can look this up. These are like Manson
I know,
quotes.
but do you understand? They're all saying the same thing because that's the goal.
Yeah.
Satan's like a corporation. It's not a guy. So they're right when they say that. Just
Yeah.
the same way if you were, I'm Christ, like you wouldn't say I'm Christ, but if you were following, you're supposed to believe, you're supposed to do what Jesus did. That's different than just believing.
So what's the point of having people become like the corporation of Satan? They want them to work for
Because
them?
Satan's
and do,
not
like,
the
physical
adversary of
labor?
God. He's the adversary of you. So when people think it's cool, oh, it's always been in music. I mean, it's a cool. Satan's not an artist. Satan's a fucking manager or agent.
Yes, but
The
what
worst
I'm-
part of the industry?
What I'm saying is the same way like Charles Manson used the people and he hypnotized them to commit murders for him. Are these people
Not for him.
for
He's running a test.
Yeah, but he's doing it for it's his it's him wanting that.
He's
and
also
then
a
saying-
slave. It's a pyramid. So
So-
one slave programs another slave. If you had a job that works the same way, there's a mid-level slave that's talking to you, the low-level slave, and they answer to someone who's richer but also a slave. It's the system is this as above, so below. These homos like to say.
Do you want to understand Alan a little bit more? You're going to like it, you're going to be interested in some of these quotes. So I just have to read through this really quick. I don't know what they believe about Satan. I don't feel such affiliation with Satanism. I am not a Satanist. It's just that
Luciferian.
I am Satan. No, he's not a Luciferian either.
Okay,
So-
I know what he's saying he is. The thing is, like, I'm not a Satanist. I am Satan. That's Luciferian. That's you're above it all.
Yeah.
That's why he's talking that way. They all like, yes, of course, sometimes I'm God, sometimes I'm Satan. I'm a really important, that's why it was called Monarch, by the way, the project, because they told these people, you're going to rule the world in the New World Order. The thing George H.W. Bush used to yap about,
Yeah.
that he apparently wrote a fucking speech about for another guy who's a weird creep.
So I don't think he was a speechwriter. I think that's a self.
I think he sucked the guy's dick, is right.
No, I think it's a what's
Showcroft.
self-idolization sort of thing to like put yourself up a level higher than you were. That's kind of what I think that was. But wait, let me get through this because I want you to understand.
Oh, that's called like illusions of grandeur.
Yes, exactly. I think that's
well,
what that
delusions
was.
of grandeur.
Whatever.
called
Whatever,
Project
you know
Monarch
what
for a
she
reason.
meant. But wait, let me
Know
get
what
through
I
this
meant.
Alan thing.
Well, you said it like a professor.
So
That was Zoe. I was splintering.
So while I'm pointing, look at these two images on the left and try to read what you can while I'm saying this stuff so you can get like the whole feeling of it. Incidentally, I am Satan. The Satan in question has revealed himself to me as Alan. It is an impersonal omission. It doesn't have a personality. So that's the hive mind, I would call it. Inaudible for a minute. Really, all of this came from, sorry, I have to move this closer because it's hurting my eyes. Really, all of this came from that what's going to be reconstituted, but with memories of this simulation, it creates a temporal space, or a temporal special simulation with the embodiment has occurred. There's an inaudible part right here, and then 2033, that's when Alan will be reconstituted. And the host goes, what is Alan? Alan is the definitive hive mind from which all of this has come, and it is simulating its own evolution and enjoys the user experience as its own creation. It's divided itself for the sake of multiplicity. It was one thing that wanted to talk to itself with agency, and so it became everything around us.
So he's just changing names on an old-ass thing.
Yes. This guy's a lot smarter than he seems, but he talks in, if you hear him talk, he talks in this like very stereotypically gay voice, and he seems slightly immature, but he's not. He's actually highly intelligent.
That's an alter. By the way, the immature ones, when you got raped,
Wait,
that freezes.
You got to let me finish real quick. What I do think is people should come up with new names for themselves and try on different personalities.
Yeah, you don't say.
And adopt new souls as they fly into their bodies.
Yeah, so there's picking up Dybbuk's and shit and fucking...
And opening yourself up to new souls.
So when they do this stuff
in.
to people, they actually use... And like I said, I don't know if it's a demon as in a real thing or it's a psychological thing, but it's like a computer thing. They put demons in you, okay, whether it's real or just they're telling you that, and that's to block off certain parts. Those are like guards in your brain to keep you from going somewhere where they don't want you to go. So he's just saying all this gibberish he's saying, that's shit they tell people when they program them. I've heard exactly this talk a dozen different times.
Yes. And what it is I feel like he's taken that programming and he's put it into esoteric and artsy academic language so that he can say it in a gallery space to curators or other artists.
Yeah, he's programmed
and they
to
sit
do
there
that.
and go, oh, yeah.
Right. Then he programs them with horseshit.
So
Passing along the message.
Yes.
in a way that they understand in their jargon. So he seems ultra artsy and academic in this very unique sort
Couldn't be
of
more
way.
So
control.
he's like
He's
a
a Lana Del Rey.
translator. He's
gotta
like
pee.
sent as a translator.
Go pee real quick and then we're going to get
I
into
have
the
to
art.
pee too.
Okay, run.